Hey everyone, and welcome back. Today, we're going to be diving deep into Yoga Nidra. You sent over some excerpts from Yoga Nidra, The Art of Transformational Sleep. And to be honest, the whole idea of transformational sleep initially sounded kind of woo-woo, even to me,
Yeah.
But the more I dug into the book, the more fascinated I got, especially how it connects this ancient wisdom with modern science. We're talking stress, trauma, even addiction and aging. Yeah, some pretty heavy stuff. And to kick things off, I wanted to mention this statistic that really jumped out at me. Did you know that 23 U.S. veterans commit suicide every single day? That's heavy. But before we get ahead of ourselves, I'm curious. What exactly is Yoga Nidra? It's not just about getting a good night's sleep, is it?
Right, it's much deeper than that. You could call it yogic sleep, but the real key is reaching this state of deep relaxation while remaining aware. Almost like that space between waking and sleep where you're super relaxed, but your mind is still alert.
Okay, I'm already intrigued. But why is that state so important? What's going on beneath the surface?
The book uses this analogy of a pot and its contents. Imagine the pot is your unchanging awareness, and the contents are all the thoughts, emotions, sensations constantly swirling around inside. We often mistake ourselves for the contents, the ever-changing stuff, rather than that spacious awareness that's always there holding it all.
Wow, that's a really helpful visual. I know I definitely get caught up in the contents,
Mm,
the worries, the to-do lists, all that. But you're saying there's this deeper level, the pot itself, that's always peaceful and unchanging.
exactly. And that connects to this idea of the five koshas, five layers or sheaths of our being. It's like a roadmap of how we're put together. Starting with the most subtle, the bliss body, and moving down to the physical body.
Hold on, five bodies. Okay, I need a crash course on this kosha concept.
Sure. So the koshas are hierarchical, meaning each layer impacts the ones below it. Think about it. Have you ever noticed how a bad mood, that's the mental body, can totally drain your energy? That's the energy body, or even show up as physical tension, the physical body. That's the koshas in action.
Oh, totally. I always get a headache when I'm super stressed. So you're saying that's my mental body impacting my physical body.
Exactly. And it all starts with that subtlest layer, the bliss body. It's like the source code holding our deepest desires, fears, and samskaras.
Samskars, those are those deep-rooted patterns, right? The book gave that example of the woman unfairly judging her ex's new girlfriend just because she was blonde. And it turned out to be connected to a past betrayal by a blonde friend. Like, it wasn't even about the new girlfriend, it was this old wound playing out.
Exactly. That's a perfect example of how samskaras can unconsciously drive our reactions. They're like emotional grooves etched into our being from past experiences, and they can be positive or negative. But the point is, they often operate beneath our awareness.
Okay, so we've got these koshas, these layers of our being, and samskaras, these hidden patterns influencing our reactions. And Yoga Nidra somehow helps us become aware of all this. It sounds almost too good to be true.
Well, that's the beauty of it. By accessing these deeper layers through a practice like Yoga Nidra, we can start to identify and even rewrite these samskaras, shifting from autopilot to conscious choice.
So it's not about ignoring those difficult feelings or pretending those patterns don't exist. It's about shining a light on them and actually changing the way we react. That's powerful stuff.
Hmm.
But how does it actually work? Is it just deep breathing and positive thinking?
There's a lot more to it than that. One of the key elements is understanding how we create stress in the first place. The book makes this crucial distinction. It's not always the external situation that stresses us out, it's our resistance to it.
Oh, that makes so much sense. Like getting stuck in traffic isn't inherently stressful. It's my inner monologue freaking out about being late that creates all the tension.
Yeah.
The book calls this our inner tiger, right?
Yes. And when we're constantly battling that inner tiger, it triggers a cascade of physiological responses. The release of cortisol, activation of the HPA axis, the whole stress response system goes into overdrive.
So we're talking about actual physical changes in the body, not just feeling stressed out, but actually harming ourselves.
Exactly. Prolonged exposure to stress hormones can wreak havoc on our health. Everything from insomnia and digestive issues to anxiety, depression, and even chronic diseases. It's not something to take lightly.
Okay, so we definitely don't want to underestimate the impact of stress. But again, how does Yoga Nidra help? We don't just want to dwell on the problem, right? We want solutions.
Absolutely. Unlike traditional yoga practices that involve physical postures, Yoga Nidra focuses on guided relaxation and cultivating deep states of awareness. Picture yourself lying down, listening to a soothing voice guiding you through a systematic relaxation of your body and mind.
I'm already feeling more relaxed just thinking about it.
Yeah.
But is that all there is to it? just lying down and listening to a voice.
It's actually much more profound than it might sound. The real magic lies in the combination of this deep relaxation with the power of intention, or sankalpa. This is where you consciously plant a positive affirmation or seed into your subconscious mind during the practice.
So it's like using the power of our own minds to create positive change. I'm really curious to hear more about how this intention piece works. But before we get into that, I'm wondering, what does science have to say about all this? Does it actually back up these ancient yogic teachings?
Absolutely. One of the most fascinating findings is that EEG studies have shown that people practicing Yoga Nidra display significant theta brainwave activity, which is typically associated with sleep, while remaining consciously aware.
So it's like the best of both worlds. Deep rest and mental clarity. I'm starting to see why this is called transformational sleep.
And it gets even more interesting. PET scans have shown that during the body scan portion of Yoga Nidra, where you bring your attention to different parts of your body, there's increased activity in the visual and tactile centers of the brain. It's almost as if the practitioners are truly seeing and feeling those areas.
Wow, that's pretty mind-blowing. It really highlights the mind-body connection and the power of our thoughts to influence our physical experience. Okay, we've talked about this idea of intention, but how does it actually play out in real life? The book gave that example of Sally and Ralph. Can we dive into that?
Sure. Remember, Sally's default pattern is to be nice, often at the expense of her own needs. She's excited about a trip to New York with Ralph, but he throws a curveball by saying he wants to go out with another woman one of the nights.
Oof. I can see how that would trigger her be nice pattern.
Yeah.
What happens next? Did she just go along with it?
She initially agrees, not wanting to upset him, but deep down, she feels disappointed and resentful. This is where the tools of self-observation, swadhyaya, and truth, satya, come in. Sally starts paying attention to her body's signals. She feels heavy and constricted when she thinks about going along with Ralph's plan, but lighter and more open when she imagines spending the evening with a different friend.
So her body's giving her clues about what feels aligned and what doesn't. I love that. It's like we have this built-in guidance system if we just learn to listen.
Exactly. And through her Yoga Nidra practice, Sally has chosen empowerment as her sankalpa, her guiding intention. This helps her tap into her inner strength and make a different choice.
This is so fascinating. But I have to admit, I'm a bit skeptical. Is it really that simple? Just choose a word and suddenly everything changes. I mean, we all have ingrained patterns and habits that can be really tough to break even with the best intentions.
You're right, it's not always easy. Intention isn't a magic wand. It's more like a rudder guiding us in a new direction. It takes practice, and sometimes we fall back into old habits. But the key is to keep returning to that intention, to keep realigning ourselves with what we truly want.
Okay, that makes sense. So it's a process, not a quick fix.
Exactly. And the beauty of Yoga Nidra is that it provides a framework for this ongoing process of self-discovery and transformation.
This is all so insightful. We've covered so much ground already, but I'm eager to learn more about how Yoga Nidra can help with those heavier topics we touched on earlier: trauma, addiction, even aging. Before we move on, though, I'm curious, how did you personally get into Yoga Nidra? What drew you to this practice?
You know, for me, it was a gradual discovery. I'd been practicing yoga for years, mostly focusing on the physical postures. But then I started experiencing some pretty intense anxiety. And traditional yoga just wasn't cutting it anymore. I needed something to calm my nervous system, to help me find a sense of inner peace. That's when I stumbled upon Yoga Nidra. And it was like a revelation, the deep relaxation, the power of intention, the way it addressed the root causes of my stress and anxiety. It was exactly what I needed.
Wow, that's amazing. And it sounds like your experience really mirrors what we've been talking about.
Yeah.
How Yoga Nidra can offer a deeper level of healing and transformation that goes beyond the physical.
Exactly. And that's what I'm so passionate about sharing with others. It's not just a relaxation technique. It's a pathway to awaken to our true potential, to cultivate a more harmonious relationship with ourselves and the world around us.
I love that. Okay, I'm definitely ready to dive deeper into those other applications of Yoga Nidra. What does the book have to say about its role in healing trauma, for example?
Well, trauma can manifest in many ways, but often it boils down to our nervous system getting stuck in fight, flight, or freeze mode.
Yeah.
Even when the danger has passed, we can still feel that hypervigilance or numbness, and it really takes a toll on the body and mind.
Right. It's like our bodies are holding on to that past trauma, even if we've tried to bury it mentally.
Yeah.
The book mentioned the freeze response and how it can get locked in place, leading to all sorts of issues.
Exactly. And that's where Yoga Nidra comes in. By creating a sense of deep relaxation and safety in the body, it can gently help to unlock those frozen responses. It's not about forcing anything, but rather allowing those trapped emotions and sensations to surface and be processed in a safe and supportive environment.
So it's not about reliving the trauma, but more about creating the conditions for healing.
That's a great way to put it. And the book highlights how important it is to work with a qualified teacher, especially when dealing with trauma, because it can bring up some intense stuff, but the
Yeah.
potential for healing is there.
That's powerful. And what about addiction? How does Yoga Nidra fit into that picture?
Addiction is often about seeking relief from pain, whether it's, physical, emotional, or even existential. And the book points out how neuroscience is showing that addiction actually um, hijacks the brain's reward system, creating those powerful cravings and compulsions. It becomes this vicious cycle where we seek relief in the addiction, but it only strengthens those neural pathways, making it even harder to break free.
So it's not just a matter of willpower. There's actual rewiring happening in the brain.
Exactly. And while Yoga Nidra doesn't directly address the addiction itself, it helps to cultivate a deeper awareness of the underlying causes, the stress, the trauma, or limiting beliefs that might be driving those addictive behaviors. It's about creating a more resilient inner landscape, a
Yeah.
stronger foundation, so we're less susceptible to those addictive patterns.
So it's like addressing the root of the problem rather than just treating the symptoms.
Exactly. And by cultivating a deeper connection to ourselves, to that inner sense of peace and wholeness, we can start to find more fulfilling and sustainable ways to cope with life's challenges.
I love that. It's like rediscovering that we already have everything we need
Yeah.
within ourselves. We just need to learn how to access it. Okay, I'm really blown away by all of this, but I have to ask, does Yoga Nidra have anything to say about aging? I mean, it seems like a lot of the benefits we've talked about, stress reduction, emotional regulation, increased awareness would naturally contribute to healthy aging, but is there anything specific that the book mentions?
You're right. Those benefits absolutely play a role, but the book also delves into the physiological impact of stress on aging. Remember how we talked about chronic stress triggering the release of cortisol and activating the HPA axis? Well, that constant state of fight or flight actually accelerates the aging process.
Really? So it's not just about feeling stressed out, it's actually impacting our cells and how we age.
Exactly. Think about it. When you're stressed, you tend to frown, your muscles are tense, your breathing is shallow. Over time, this creates wrinkles, tension patterns, and even restricts the flow of energy in the body.
Wow, that's fascinating. So it's like stress literally leaves its mark on us, both internally and externally.
Precisely. And conversely, when we cultivate deep relaxation and reduce stress through practices like Yoga Nidra, we're creating a more youthful internal environment. It's not about erasing wrinkles. It's about slowing down the aging process at a cellular level.
Okay, I'm officially convinced.
Yeah.
Sign me up for a lifetime of Yoga Nidra.
Yeah.
But speaking of the practice itself, the book includes an entire guided Yoga Nidra script, right?
It does. And while we can't walk through the whole thing here, I think it would be helpful to highlight some of the key elements.
Yes, please. I'm so curious to hear what an actual Yoga Nidra session is like.
Well, it usually begins with finding a comfortable position, lying down and closing your eyes. The guide then invites you to bring your attention to your breath, allowing it to deepen and soften naturally.
That already sounds so relaxing.
It is. And then the guide leads you through a systematic relaxation of the body, starting with the toes and moving all the way up to the head. You're simply invited to become aware of the sensations in each part of your body, allowing them to soften and release.
It's like a gentle wave of relaxation washing over you.
Exactly. And then the focus shifts to a practice called rotation of consciousness. This involves bringing your awareness to different parts of the body in a specific sequence, and it's believed to stimulate the flow of prana or life force energy.
Rotation of consciousness. That sounds intriguing. What's the purpose of that?
It's about awakening the energy body and creating a sense of vibrancy and vitality. It's subtle, but it can be quite powerful.
Wow. So it's not just about relaxing the physical body. It's about activating our energy system as well. I'm learning so much.
Then comes another fascinating element, the exploration of opposites. You're guided to experience contrasting sensations like heaviness and lightness, heat and cold, tension and relaxation.
Okay, I'm not sure I understand that one. Why is it important to experience these opposites?
The book explains that it helps to expand our capacity for sensation, to become more aware of the subtle nuances of our experience. It's like fine-tuning our internal radar, becoming more attuned to the signals our bodies are sending us.
That makes sense. And I imagine it could also help us, break free from those rigid patterns and reactions we were talking about earlier.
Precisely. By consciously experiencing these contrasting sensations, we create more flexibility and fluidity in our nervous system, allowing us to respond to life's challenges with greater ease.
It's like we're loosening the grip of those old patterns,
Yeah.
creating space for something new to emerge. I love that.
And after exploring the opposites, the guide typically leads you through a visualization practice, inviting you to connect with a sense of peace, joy, or love.
Oh, I love visualizations. They're so powerful for tapping into our imagination and creating positive experiences.
They are, and research has shown that when we visualize something vividly, our brains actually fire in the same way as if we were experiencing it in real life.
So we're essentially training our minds to create the reality we want. That's amazing.
It is, and this is where the practice really gets to the heart of things. After the visualization, the guide will introduce the sankalpa or intention that you've chosen.
Right, that core intention we talked about earlier. So how does that work within the practice itself?
You're invited to repeat your chosen affirmation silently to yourself, allowing it to sink deep into your subconscious mind. It's like planting that seed of positive change,
Hmm.
and after repeating your sankalpa several times, the guide gently guides you back to waking consciousness.
That sounds incredibly powerful. But I'm wondering, does this mean I need to find a specific Yoga Nidra recording every time I want to practice? Are there other different scripts for different intentions?
That's a good question. There are definitely a lot of guided meditations and recordings available, and some might be tailored to specific themes or intentions. But the beauty of Yoga Nidra is that the basic structure is quite consistent. You can actually learn to guide yourself through the practice once you understand the key elements.
Oh, wow. So you could potentially create your own personalized Yoga Nidra practice,
Yeah.
tailored to your specific needs and intentions.
Exactly. And the book actually provides a lot of guidance on how to do that. It talks about the different stages of the practice, the language to use, and how to create a safe and supportive environment for yourself.
That's so empowering. I love that it's not just about following someone else's script, but about creating your own personal journey of self-discovery.
Exactly. And as you become more familiar with the practice, you can start to experiment with different visualizations, affirmations, and even create your own unique sequences.
One thing that's really striking me is how holistic Yoga Nidra seems to be. It's not just about relaxation or stress reduction. It's about addressing the root causes of our suffering, the
Yeah.
limiting beliefs, the trapped emotions, the unconscious patterns that are keeping us stuck.
I completely agree. And what's beautiful is that it doesn't require any special skills or equipment. Anyone can practice Yoga Nidra regardless of their age,
Yeah.
physical ability, or spiritual background.
It's like this incredible gift we all have access to, this innate ability to tap into our own healing potential.
Exactly. And the more we practice, the more we cultivate those deeper states of awareness, the more we access those inner resources of peace, resilience, and well-being.
Okay, I'm totally inspired. This has been such an incredible deep dive, and I feel like I've just scratched the surface. Before we wrap things up, I want to circle back to that statistic about veteran suicides that we mentioned at the beginning. It's such a heartbreaking reality, and I'm wondering if you have any final thoughts on how Yoga Nidra might play a role in addressing this crisis.
That's an important question. And while I can't speak to specific cases, what I can say is that Yoga Nidra offers a powerful toolkit for dealing with the underlying causes of suffering that often contribute to these tragedies, the
Mm.
trauma, the stress, the feelings of isolation and despair. Yoga Nidra can provide a path to healing, to finding that inner peace and resilience that's so essential for navigating life's challenges.
It's like offering a lifeline, a way to reconnect with that inner strength and
Yeah.
hope that might feel lost.
Exactly. And I truly believe that practices like Yoga Nidra have the potential to make a profound difference, not just for veterans, but for anyone struggling with those deep wounds of trauma, addiction, or despair. It's about remembering that we are not alone, that there's a path to healing, and that we all have the innate capacity to find peace and wholeness within ourselves.
I love that. It's a message of hope and empowerment.
Yeah, it is.
As we've been talking about all this, I keep thinking back to that analogy from the book. The monkey trapped in a cage, desperately clinging to a banana that's too big to pull through the bars.
Ah, yes. Such a vivid image. It perfectly captures how we often cling to our beliefs, our fears, our attachments, even when they're the very things causing us suffering.
It's like we're so fixated on that banana, that idea of what we think we need to be happy, successful, or loved, that we become blind to the possibility of freedom.
Exactly. And the book suggests that true freedom lies in letting
Right.
go of that banana, letting go of those limiting beliefs that keep us trapped in a cage of our own making.
And Yoga Nidra provides the tools to do that, to loosen that grip and step out of the cage.
Precisely through deep relaxation, awareness, and the power of intention, we can start to shift our perspective to see beyond those self-imposed limitations and tap into a deeper well of peace, wisdom, and freedom within ourselves.
This has been such an eye-opening deep dive. I feel like I've gained a whole new understanding of Yoga Nidra, and honestly, I'm feeling inspired to give it a try myself. So, as we wrap things up, what's the one key takeaway you hope our listener walks away with today?
I think the most important thing is to remember that healing and transformation are possible, no matter what challenges you're facing, whether it's, stress, trauma, addiction, or simply the anxieties of daily life. Yoga Nidra offers a path to reconnect with your inner strength, your innate capacity for peace and well-being. It's not a quick fix, but a journey of self-discovery that unfolds over time with consistent practice.
It's about remembering that we are not broken, but rather we have the power to heal and create the life we truly desire. If you're intrigued by what you've heard today, I highly encourage you to explore Yoga Nidra further. The book you shared is a fantastic resource, and there are also many, many wonderful teachers and online resources available.